A few weeks ago we brought you stories out of Chicago stating that a large bat-like flying humanoid was being seen around the Windy City. Whatever the nature of this entity, it has been reported dozens of more times since then. Reported sightings of the winged being have since spread into the suburbs surrounding the city and other areas around Lake Michigan. This week, Restricted Access will look at two of the physical representations of the creature delivered to investigators. An interesting development in the case that has people talking is this photograph taken in the Chicago suburb of Melrose Park on August the 4th. A woman contacted Manuel Navarrete of a UFO clearinghouse to say that she and her husband were leaving a Best Buy electronics store when they saw what appeared to be a giant black bat fly over the building. The woman reached for her camera phone, but by the time she had it out and managed to take a picture, the creature had already flown a considerable distance away. That left her with a photograph of something seemingly very far off in the sky and not very easily discernible. Our experts took a hard look at the picture, but there isn't a lot to go on. There is a halo effect surrounding the light poles, which initially was thought to possibly be a result of someone cutting and pasting the skyline into the photo. A second look though showed that the straight edges of the halos around the light poles and the presence of a similar effect on the tree line and surrounding buildings hinted strongly that the photo had merely been compressed rather than tampered with outright. That, of course, raises the question of what the object could be in the photograph. If you take the witness at her word, then it's a giant bat. But we consider ourselves incredulous investigators, so let's examine some other options. It could be a large bird. There's a forest preserve just to the east of Melrose Park, and great blue herons and sandhill cranes are known to fly in this area. It could also be an airplane. Chicago's O'Hare International Airport is only 9 miles away, and the object in question does somewhat resemble an airplane angled upward in takeoff. Nothing in this sighting flap is quite so simple as to allow for the easy acceptance of such palatable answers, and so naturally there is another wrinkle to this particular aspect of the mystery. The same day as this photograph was taken, another sighting of a giant bat was reported to MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, and it was seen just 2 miles away in River Forest. This time the witness was with their 3 children, walking home after the oldest child's soccer practice, when they saw what appeared to be a huge bat flying along the treetops in front of them. The bat turned towards them in flight, flapping its enormous wings, before turning again and flying away. The witness described the creature this time as having humanoid arms and legs. These 2 sightings line up in a direct path to Lake Michigan, which some believe is the true focal point of the encounters. But while there have been a handful of sightings in Michigan and Indiana, the vast majority continue to come from the greater Chicago metropolitan area. And while the nature and origin of the creature remain a mystery, one of the most common elements reported by witnesses is a sense of overwhelming fear. Few encounters reported so far embody this sense of dread as much as the recent reports to come out of Chicago's Little Village neighbourhood in September of this year. Of the 5 reports received from Little Village, perhaps none have had the effect of the one most recently reported. On September the 26th, as reported to Lon Strickler of Phantoms and Monsters, an older woman and her adult son witnessed what was described as a monster bat with eerie glowing red eyes in their backyard. They stared at it for maybe 10 seconds until it spread open its wings and took off into the air. The beast's wingspan was described as 15 feet wide, while it stood between 6 and 7 feet tall. That's remarkably consistent with previous reports. What is most remarkable about this particular encounter is the unfortunate effect it had on the older woman who witnessed it. She was so frightened by what she saw that she immediately fell to the floor upon seeing the monster, and even now her son refuses to speak of it around her. So fearful is he of the effect it has had on her. By his admission, she is not reacting well to the sighting. He did sit down with his girlfriend following the sighting and have her draw a picture of what they saw based on his description, and the result might explain his mother's unfortunate reaction. Her depiction of the entity would certainly be chilling to behold. But while these stories do have the power to excite and frighten, what are we to make of the limited physical proof with which we've been provided? Is a far-off picture of an unidentified object and a sketch of a monstrous winged being enough to convince you of the veracity of these witnesses' stories? Taken out of context, certainly not, but perhaps with the vehement testimony of eyewitnesses they might carry more weight. As always though, it's up to you to decide, and if you find yourself outside in Chicago, keep your eyes for the sky and your smartphone at the ready.